A warm welcome to RE Talks with Amit Vats. It's a cold
Good
winter
morning. Yeah.
morning in the north of India, and I'm speaking to you from the Queen of Hills, Shimla, which sits on an elevation of 2,276 meters above sea level. Today, we have a classic example of North meets South as I introduce you to our special guest who brings warmth and opportunity in the Irish sector, and he's from the country island Sri Lanka. Please welcome Mr. Damitha Kumarasinghe, Director General, Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. Welcome, Mr. Damitha Kumarasinghe, to RE Master Talks.
Thank you.
Sir, it's a pleasure to have you here. And without wasting too much of your time early in the morning, I would directly come to the point. Now, sir, with the world, when we are talking about the net zero plans coming into action, and Sri Lanka vying for 70% of all its energy requirement by renewable energy by 2030, and further setting a target of 2050 to achieve a net zero carbon emission. How do you, as an individual and as a government representative, see the potential of investments happening in the island country in the coming future?
Yes, actually, as you said, Sri Lanka has a very clear policy now for renewable energy or the future of energy. Now we have set 70% from renewable by 2030 and net carbon zero by 2050. So during the next decade, we need actually triple the installed capacity. So we need about 8,000 to 10,000 megawatts of solar, wind and other renewables to be installed in the country. Currently, we have about 4,000 megawatts installed. So even though this is a small system, the procurement systems and other technical aspects need to be sorted out in order to have this leapfrog towards renewable energy. And also, if you look at the investment potential, there's a lot of enthusiasm from the local as well as international players coming into the Sri Lanka market. Recently also we have called for, Sustainable Energy Authority has called for expressions of interest for projects over 50 megawatts, and the response is very encouraging, and therefore we expect to achieve this target by 2030. And also currently the government is looking at promoting electrical mobility, electric vehicles as a part of this carbon zero target, and for that also we need a lot of energy to be generated from renewable energy. So we are looking at the entire system of replacing fossil fuel with renewable energy as much as possible. And I know it's a steep target, but we are confident that we can achieve that.
Definitely. We look forward to that. We look forward to that, Mr. Namita. So now with the set targets to achieve net zero carbon emission, it also opens the door to a lot of investment opportunity. So how is the country equipping itself to the ease of doing business? Per se, government policies, financing, land availability, rooftops, or per se, electric vehicles, uh, mobile charging stations, as in the charging stations for the vehicles. How is the country equipping itself to the ease of doing business?
Actually, as I said, now the targets are clearly set. Policy is very clear where we are heading. So now the relevant agencies, including the Public Utilities Commission, we are preparing the subsidiary legislation and the standards and the other procedures that are required for that. And also the Public Utilities Commission has already prepared the standards for electric vehicle charging stations and the procedures for implementation of those. So that on that side, the private sector have enormous potential to invest. And also regarding the we are going to make the legislation, the subsidiary legislation and the standards very transparent, so that investors feel comfortable in engaging with Sri Lanka. And on the transportation side, apart from the charging stations, I mean, the vehicle, the standards on vehicles and the emission standards all are being looked into at the moment.
All right, great. So I understand, the policies are coming into action. There's a lot of framework which is coming into work. In fact, I've been to Sri Lanka and I've seen there are a lot of electric vehicles also there. So how strong is the push in Sri Lanka towards the EV sector and more towards battery storage?
Yeah, actually, regarding electric vehicles, there were a huge trend towards electric vehicles starting around 2015. So, but lately, that enthusiasm has gone down a little. But now, since government has very clearly set up the targets and the policy for transportation, it will pick up quite quickly.
All right. So, as in, because as I said that Sri Lanka has a lot of electric vehicles, but is Sri Lanka also looking forward for battery storage?
Yes, actually, battery storage is looked at in a very serious way, and
Mhm.
even the expressions of interest called by Sustainable Energy Authority recently, battery storage was a part of that also. So currently, as a country and as utilities, all these entities are looking at implementation of battery storage very seriously, and there are a lot of studies going on the grid and other applications of battery storage.
So, how do you see India as a partner towards your renewable energy and clean energy goals?
Yeah, actually, India is moving very rapidly towards renewable energy over the last decade or so, and a lot of investments are going into India with large renewable energy projects. And since India is the closest country to us, we are looking forward for Indian investments to come in, as well as there have been a dialogue for a long time on India Sri Lanka HVDC interconnection. I think that is also being discussed to absorb energy and have a connectivity to South Asia regional grid. And also, a lot of Indian investors have already expressed their willingness to invest in Sri Lanka in large scale renewable energy projects. So, we are looking very positively on that.
Definitely, I think no, it will surely boost the Indian investment part also in Sri Lanka with the ease of doing business. As you've just narrated, the government is very proactive with the policies in Sri Lanka for the investments. So I think the investors in India would be looking forward to be part of the Sri Lankan investment plans in clean and green energy. So my last question, which I would want one thing which you would personally want to push for the RE and clean energy space, keeping the future generations in mind.
Yes, actually, there are a few things when you consider the energy currently incurred in the Sri Lankan power system for generation. Renewable energy happen to be the cheapest source at this point of time. With all fossil fuel based generation is much more expensive, and they are in a escalating pricing trend whereas the renewables are either stable or going down. So we are very much interested in many sides, many aspects to promote renewable energy. One is the cost aspect, the other one is the environmental aspect, and also looking at the betterment of future generations through achieving a higher set targets of the government on renewable energy.
Mr. Damitha, though I said that that was the last question, but I think I would add on to a little bit more. How do you see the prospect of bioenergy in Sri Lanka? Because I see that bioenergy has also been pushed a lot into the Sri Lankan market, and this has been one of the oldest forms of energy also in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the entire energy landscape of Sri Lanka, about 50% of the total energy comes from bioenergy. Uh, so, so mostly not in the form of electricity, but generating heat aspect as well. But I think in future to come, solar and wind will go into create a huge space in energy generation, and definitely the bioenergy has its place, and given the fact that people are very comfortable with it, they will use it in at their domestic level for their energy requirements.
True that. So, Mr. Damitha, we look forward to actually, connect with you more often and rather personally. So thank you so much for your time. I, along
Thanks.
with
Thank you.
Ari, I look forward to soon meeting you and meeting not just you, meeting our friends in Sri Lanka and us associates as well. And we wish you a very happy new year with health and happiness. Thank you. This is Amit Vats at Ari Master
Same to you.
Talks.